Hi guys, just give me a second. I'm trying to get set up. And will be so in just a minute. Okay. Today, guys. We have sort of a different live going on today. And I'm going to try to get through this. But first, we have weekly recap. We had 6 videos, 3 shorts, 3 live streams, and 3 posts happening last week. We had 1.4 thousand people come in to check out the channel, and we had 6 new subscribers, so pretty good week. And what did they watch? The same 3 videos: whale tails, right whale species focus, and organism of the week, giant squid. We had 16 likes, 5 shares, and 7 comments. Keep those comments coming, guys. Remember, questions always get their own special short. Let's play a game. What was the most watched video last week? I'm going to go with whale tails. And I was right. It got 769 views last week. And that is enough of that channel. And now we're going to see if I can get into the other channel and get its weekly wrap up. Maybe give people a chance to come in. Analytics. Weekly recap. Maybe. Okay, we had 1 video and 4 shorts. Remember, that's typical for this channel. 241 people tuned in, and we got 1 new subscriber. Oh, come on. This is what they watched. Toy review African lion, bowhead whale toy review, and great white shark toy review. What did you guys What was the most viewed last week? I'm going to say bowhead whale. I was wrong. Toe review African lion. Very awesome. Okay, so moving on, we are going to, I don't know what's going on. Okay, so I don't know where people are at, but I have limited time with the actual facts for this live because I forget to charge my Chromebook. Silly me. Oh, okay. So today we are doing animals of the Bible. And since I have limited time, with this being live, we're going to talk about the possibility of two of the animals that are mentioned, just because they're different from the others. So the first one is behemoth. Now, basically what it says is a monstrous and mighty land animal. Some scholars say it could be a mythical monster. Others are saying it could even be a reference to a dinosaur. I've even heard of references of it simply being a hippo. And I don't know if you've ever seen a hippo when it's mad, but these guys are ferocious. I mean, they will do damage to you. Really don't understand. And they would have been, as Carol said, in the same area. They would have had hippos, at least in places. They would have been familiar with them. Another animal that is mentioned is Leviathan. Now, Leviathan is a little bit trickier because it's either a mythical creature or it is a earthly creature, and it's one or two things. It is either, sorry, my camera doesn't know where it wants to be right now. It is either, oh, I didn't get it's either a crocodile, a whale shark, which would have been possibly in the Mediterranean Sea. Fishermen that were along the Mediterranean Sea would have seen this. But also whales. And I'm going to disappear for a second. I will be back. I'm not going very far. Well, I can't find what I'm looking for. I don't know if sperm whales would have been in the Mediterranean, but there would have been other large whales in there, possibly even in the Red Sea. they definitely would be familiar with whales as well, at least those people that fish. So those animals definitely are possibilities. Another possibility is a fish called an oarfish, and these guys get pretty good size. And quite often, even outside of the Bible, they have been mistaken for sea monsters. So there you go. I do want to stress, and now, what are you talking about? Because if this is spam, like seriously, you're gonna get put in a timeout because it's not happening. So you can either participate in chat or stop spamming. So getting into the actual animals, they would have had attics. Now an attics, I don't know how to describe that to you, but it's sort of like a oryx, only it has twisty horns, spiral horns. It mentions ants and antelope, so maybe gazelle, and they would have had gazelle of some sort. A bald locust, they would have had apes. Now, I don't think they're talking gorillas or chimpanzees. I'm thinking they probably mean like maybe a baboon, which they might have had. They might have had remembrance of that when they left Egypt. Bald locust. My favorite animal, probably the harpy eagle. Getting back to topic. Thanks for the question, though. And hello, Lawrence and NL. They would have had locust. Now, locust, if you don't know, this is an animal that is solitary for a large part of its life, and then all of a sudden, these animals can become monstrous swarms that basically devour plant life. And that was a very real scary thing back in those days. Barn owls. And for those of you who just came in, we are talking about animals of the Bible. We're not discussing doctrine. Okay? We're not discussing doctrine. Just putting that out there. They would have seen bats. Yes. They would have seen bears. Probably a brown bear. Not necessarily a grizzly bear, but a brown bear nonetheless. Definitely would have had bees. Probably not honeybees, but bees. Buzzards. Now, when I say buzzards, I am not talking about animals like we think of buzzards like being the turkey vultures. These would have been more hawk-like. They would have had camels. Now, probably the camel that they would have had, at least in Israel, would have been the dromedary, because the Bactrim, or the camel with two humps, actually lived in well, and that's possible. They may have had honeybees, but probably not the type of honeybees that we are used to. Because I believe our honeybees actually come from Europe. They would have had chameleons. They would have had cobras. Cormorants. Now, cormorants are a bird. Has a long neck and a pointed, not a heron, but they have a long neck and they sort of dive into the water. Crickets, deer, dogs, donkeys primarily would have been a animal that they used for moving things, sort of like a camel. They might have rode them also. Dove, dragon. Now again, a dragon could be a monster, or it could have been a land creature. So maybe monitor lizards if they had them. Crocodile could be an easy one. Again, the oarfish, which we talked about earlier. Eagles. Eagle owls. If you don't know what an eagle owl is, sort of like a great horned owl, but much, much bigger. Or not much bigger, but bigger. Egyptian vulture. These guys are super cool. You just have to read about them. Falcons, fish, fleas. They would have had to deal with fleas because the animals that maybe they kept had fleas. Also, the plague might have been popped up from time to time, and as we know, that's caused by fleas. Flies, probably a nuisance for them. Foxes, frogs, gazelle, geckos is a type of lizard. You guys see those all the time on TV. No big surprise there. Goats. Goats would have been something they raised for meat, maybe for milk. Sorry guys, I just can't sit up like I've been doing. Grasshopper. Great fish. Again, that could be, oh, that's okay. That could be a shark. Could be like a whale shark, because they would have been in the Mediterranean, like I said earlier. Or it could be a whale and not necessarily a sperm whale. Hares, a little bit different than a rabbit, a little bit bigger than a rabbit, but basically a rabbit. Hawks, herons, a hoopoe. These guys are pretty cool looking. I don't have one, and I don't have a picture of one to show you. Horses. Yeah, probably. A hyrax. Now, it says either a small fish or a small gopher-like animals. A hyrax is actually related to elephants, and they're mini-sized. They're not very big. Kites are a smaller type of hawk, sort of in between a falcon and a hawk. Leeches, leopards. Leopards have a very widespread range, basically from Africa all the way into India. So they definitely would have had to deal with leopards. Lions, we know they had lions. Lizards, all types of lizards. Again, locusts. We talked about that, how they can go from being a solitary sort of a grasshopper-like thing to being these huge swarms that just would devour everything in their path. And when I say everything, I mean plants. Maggots, baby flies, mole rats. Think of it like a naked mole rat burrowing in the ground. Moth, monitor lizards, again. Think of a Komodo dragon, only smaller. Mountain sheep, mourning doves, not our mourning doves, but a dove. Mule, they might have had mules. Ostrich, yeah, maybe. Owls, they would not have had great horned owls, but they would have had owls. Oxen, yeah, probably of some sort. Partridge, basically think quail. Peacocks, I don't know if they would have had peacocks. based on their range. I'd have to look into that, actually. Carol, no, I won't ask you to do that. I'll have to look that one up. Pigs, they very well might have had pigs. Pigeon, yeah. Quail, yeah. Rams. Now, basically, a ram is just a male sheep. And they would have had sheep. Ravens, yes. Rodents, rats, mice, whatever. Yeah, royalty might have had peacocks. I didn't think about that. Some of the kings might have had them. Roe deer. Now, it's interesting because when I think roe deer, I think Europe. I don't think of the Middle East. Roosters, scorpions, they definitely would have had scorpions. There are some really nasty scorpions out that way. Gulls, definitely. Serpents, probably all types of serpents, including things like horned vipers, maybe. Some cobras, maybe. Sheep, definitely. Short-eared owls, it's possible. Snails, yeah, probably. Snakes, no, I don't know what type of snakes necessarily, but maybe pythons. Maybe some type of python. Vipers, definitely. Turtle doves, definitely. Storks, yeah. Spiders, yes. Vultures, yes, definitely vultures. Griffins, bearded and blacks, among others. Wild goats, definitely. Wild ox. I don't know what type of wild ox they would have had. But they probably also had wolves. Definitely not out of the question. Now, as far as, let's do a deep dive while I have computer time. You have to keep in mind that during this time, or during some of the time, Rome was there, and they weren't necessarily really nice. They also helped to spread things around. But let's talk about some of the animals that would have been in Israel. Possibly Nubian ibex. So an ibex is a type of goat. They have the horns that sort of curve back over the head. Hyrax, again, we talked about that being the little relative of the elephant. They would have had oryx. Now, oryx is kind of interesting because they have these two horns, very straight. From a distance, why, when I want something, can I not find it? So this is the Blavatsky's horse. We all know what horses look like. But you can see this guy has the horn sticking straight up. From a side profile, if you got it right, like that, voila, you have almost one horn. So very possibly Legend of the Unicorn right there. Also possible that narwhal. Gazelle, hedgehogs, that was not mentioned. Jackals, crabs, if you are along the coastline. Greek tortoise, leopards. Again, leopards would have been in Israel. Israel is actually very as far as wildlife goes, pretty diverse. They would have had fin whales if you lived in the right areas. Common dolphins, short-beaked common dolphins. Yeah, leopards, Carla, leopards had really good range. Basically, they went from Africa all the way through to India at one time. No, they would have had, if you were in Israel along the coast, you could have seen whales. It's highly, highly possible. They would have had, I'm trying to read this. They would have had cheetahs, quite possibly. Now, when I say this, I'm talking about a horse. They would have had Syrian wild ass, Asiatic lion, Syrian brown bear. Unfortunately, by the time the 20th century comes around, a lot of these animals are no longer in Israel. And a lot of them went extinct by the time the Ottoman Empire came around because of overhunting. So some of the animals that we've talked about are no longer there. They might very possibly. It's not a mule. Asses look like donkeys, but they are not donkeys. An ass would be a descendant of the donkey, but by that time, donkeys were already domesticated. So this would have been a wild donkey, basically. I think it's pretty amazing that they had cheetahs, which makes sense, because cheetahs were once widespread too. I don't remember just how far widespread, but I do know pretty well spread. Oh, I guess they did have roe deer. Okay. I was thinking roe deer, smaller. I think of them typically as, like I said, European, but apparently they did have roe deer, and they also had red deer, which I did not know about. Red deer is about almost the size of an elk, I believe. Maybe a little bit smaller. As far as reptiles, they would have had Nile crocodile. Yes. Also, in India, they had cheetahs too. So the Asiatic cheetah had a pretty long expanse of range. Again, if you're coming in, we are not discussing the doctrinal side of things. If you want to bring that up, that's fine. But basically we're not covering that. And I'm sorry, I'm sitting in a bad spot. So we discussed earlier not discussing doctrine as far as this goes, but we discussed that Leviathan might have been something as simple as, and again, we discussed this with another one, could have been a crocodile, could have been a whale shark, because whale sharks do get pretty big, and if I remember right, they are in the Mediterranean, possibly even the Red Sea, or whales. They would have had 100 species of reptile in Israel. They would have had Nile crocodiles, viper, Levant viper, and Nile monitors. So, yeah, pretty cool there. Among other things, because I'm sure that's not the only things that they had. Fire salamanders, frogs, fish, because they border on the Red Sea and the Mediterranean, there would have been all kinds of freshwater fish as well as other saltwater fish. There would have been an incredible amount of birds. And with the Dead Sea would have had birds that associated there that would come in to feed. They probably didn't really nest there, but they would have fed there. And we see that in the Great Salt Lake where the birds come in. They don't necessarily nest there. I'm sure there are some that do, but they feed there because they feed on the brine shrimp and other stuff. There, that's better. Again, they would have had locusts. They would have had all types of insects and spiders and scorpions. Definitely. Well, I love nature, as you know, and I'm also using a website because I did not prepare like I should have for this one because life. But also knowing what is in the area already, you can sort of guess based on geographic location. There were some surprises for me, like I can't use the light, and I don't know why it keeps going dark to black, dark to black. It makes like it just did it again. Okay, that's what I thought. I was pretty sure. Okay, I don't want to hear. Yeah, with my luck, it probably is, but I don't want to hear about it. But a lot of animals have been greatly reduced, like the Asiatic lion. It's really been reduced from its original range. It's now, unless there are pockets that we don't know about, the only place that you can find Asiatic lions is in a small little pocket of India in the Gir forest. Other than that, unless they're in zoos, you're not going to see them. If you're wondering why I don't turn the light around, it whites me out like I'm not even here. They would have had ostriches, North African ostriches, possibly. But no, they had Arabian ostriches. So that's pretty cool. So at this point, do we have any questions? Because I want to make sure that I'm answering questions if people have them. And I like that you are answering questions. Also, let me real quick, before I forget, in case people have to leave, I want to go over what we're doing for lives for the at least next couple days. And Carol, I might ask for some help on this because my mind goes every which way, and it has been lately. But if you know basically what animals are in a certain area, like Egypt and then just the Middle East, you can sort of guesstimate what might have been in Israel during the early days. By the early days, I'm talking biblical. Based on what we know about David, we know that he was out there slinging bears, and whatever else. If I remember right, the bear that they had in Israel, still a force to be reckoned with, but not the big grizzly bears that we have here. If I remember right. This is going to be so small, I don't even know why I'm trying to do this. It's not even going to come up. Well, where you go? We have light. Yeah, Syrian brown bear, but I want to say they're not as big as the grizzly. And they're all brown bears. Whoa, that's the wrong. I love when I open it up. Yeah. I love when I open up my computer or my Chromebook and what I'm looking for is not there. Okay, let's see. Will it let me do this? Maybe? No, it's not. Okay. So just give me a second, guys. I'm trying to bring up because I forgot to print it off. The music you're hearing, if you can hear it, is the background music for my channel. Okay, so coming up this week, Friday at 7 p.m., we are talking about can they live on land? And we're going to be looking at some big old things. Like, can that live on land? Saturday, that's at 7 p.m., by the way. Saturday at 3 p.m., we're going to be talking about Bigfoot. Somebody brought it up to me, and you know who you are. Is it a primate or is it a hoax? And we'll be talking about that. So that's at 3 o'clock. So Friday at 7 p.m., can they live on land? And Friday at 7 p.m., can they live on land? And Saturday at 3 p.m., Bigfoot, primate, or hoax. So those are the lives that are coming up for this week. Next week, I'm hoping we can start doing some edible plant stuff and having some fun. That's basically everything I have on that. Let me give you some yard updates because we're down to 40 minutes or so, or we're down to almost 50. We're down to almost 45 minutes, 15 minutes, almost. So so far, the columbine flowers are still coming up. And then we have the hyssop, which actually is a plant that is native to our area, but they also had hyssop in Israel. And that is coming up, so that's really cool. And of course, the irises are coming up. So that is what is happening. I did not do a poll today. Saturday's link is not up yet. But you can either you can do it one or two ways. I'm hoping to have it up Friday evening, or I could do it sooner. But once I have it up, you can just copy and paste it. I will try and put it up into Facebook, and you can copy and paste it from there. Or if I'm really good, it'll be up in YouTube. Oh, and if anybody ever has any problems getting into lives, if I switch out of the window that I'm in right now, it sometimes marks it as private. So if you need help, message Carol, and I have Facebook open during lives. That way, if you do need help, message me through Facebook if you have it, and then I can help you through there. But yeah, I'm always welcome people coming in. What else did I want to cover? Oh, I am starting, and I know, Carol, I know you're going to be like, why? I am starting a blog. It's not going to be an everyday thing, I don't think. I think it'll be a once a week thing. But instead of being like this, where I sort of go from point A to point B, this is going to be more focused on pictures that I've taken or places I've been. A little bit more personal, I think. So once I get that going, I'll announce that. Also, we haven't moved up any in subscribers. We're sitting at 463. But I'm thinking if things keep going like they are, we could see 500 by I'm hoping by mid-April, at least by May. But yeah. And then I also wanted to do what I'm doing for videos, so that you guys can decide what videos you want to watch or not. Let's see. Give me a nanosecond. You know, one of these days, Carol, you're going to wish that thing into existence. And I am going to be the first one to run. There is a reason why I didn't go like... Okay, here we are. So primates we've already done. Primates is up. Crookweed is up. Blue flag is up. So tomorrow's video is going to be quick-weed invasive species. Daddy, and then we're going to be talking about daddy longlegs, myth-busting video. And then it'll be turtle fossils. Or turtle pieces fossils. Now we're going to have, I was going to do a video for next week. We're going to be talking about cats as a group, mimicry. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but that'll be a thing. Amazonian pink dolphins. I was supposed to do clouded leopard versus snow leopard bite force, but I could only find the bite forces in newtons instead of PSI. So I decided not to do that video. And instead, I'm going to be covering anthrax as a zoonotic disease. So that's going to be a thing. And then Galapagos giant tortoise, Narcissus, and II. Which I always end up learning more doing these videos than probably anybody else. So yeah. Anytime that, also, so you know, anytime that people answer questions outside of lives, they get special attention. I'm hoping also to have Fridays. I'm going to go ahead and do Fridays live and try to get Saturdays live done tonight so that those are up and ready to be shared. I don't do usually personal lives, or not personal lives, that's not what I meant. I don't usually send those out right away. If you do need that, those will be sent out the day of. Also, just a quick reminder for anybody that I haven't had to do it today a whole lot, but we have had issues with people coming in and being rude. And I'm not going to put up with that. I deal with that pretty quickly, right, Carol? Because typically what happens is I get a notice that stuff is being said. Yeah, the last one was pretty bad. They actually got, not only did they get a timeout, but they also got, unfortunately, they got reported. So I don't know what happened after that. Another plant that is up right now in the yard is the Spring Beauty is up. Now, I think, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think our blackberries, something else in the area, must have a thing with the rust because the Spring Beauty gets it. I'm assuming it's blackberry, but it could be something else. And if you don't know, rust is not something that is limited to metal. Rust is actually a fungi that can attack plants. So there you go. And actually, I think I posted a picture of it somewhere. Yeah. But I'm looking to do another taste test. So far, I've done maple seeds. I have done black tulipa fruit. So I don't know. I don't want to, I'm staying away from the onions that I transplanted because, oh yes, and the wild onion is up. I'm trying to stay away from the wild onions because onions and me don't mix, or at least not really strong onions, and those are strong. Trying to think. Carol, am I missing anything? I don't know. Also, the tanks behind me are empties. And this is sort of my corner. This is my, it's become very familiar. This is where I go live from. It's my little grotto, I guess. We are almost out of time, but if you guys still want to talk, because ultimately, oh, that's fine. That's fine. You're welcome. But yeah, lives ultimately are for the subscribers. So thank you for coming in. I am down to a few minutes, 8 minutes to be exact. I try to only do an hour, but it is what it is. Oh, I should probably just go now, but I won't. So yeah, if there's something that you want to see or something that you want to talk about for live, let me know. And I will see what I can do. This was actually Carol's idea, and I thought it went pretty good. I don't know where she's at. I don't know if she left. Because sometimes my thing gets tricky. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to cut out for tonight. Thank you for coming in. I've run out of stuff to talk about as usual, so see you on Friday for the next one. Talk to you later.